So here's the book I wrote, UFOs over Colorado. I dug real deep into various UFO organizations, contacted a bunch of UFO researchers, got some original cases of my own, and let's just start digging into what I think are the top 20 Colorado cases. And now we move to case number 14. I found this one really incredible because I started looking into cases involving UFOs that hover over prisons. And I have to tell you, I found 20 or 30 of them. And I found that Colorado prison has been visited on 4 separate occasions over the years. As you can see, 65, 67, 76, and 1998. I'm fairly confident because of this track record that it will be visited again. UFOs do seem to be interested in their, installations, such as nuclear power stations and Air Force bases. I think that's what attracted UFOs to Colorado prison. But the first case I found was August 2nd, 1965. This was during a huge nationwide wave of UFO sightings when 2 of the tower guards saw something they weren't able to explain. One of the guards, his name was Donald Stites. This was in the wee hours of the morning, 2:15 a.m., and this object was hovering near the prison between Colorado Springs and Pueblo, he says, and it appeared to be this glowing white object which remained stationary in the sky but was dimming and brightening. And after about 30 minutes, it suddenly winked out. Another case comes from a gentleman who's anonymous. I believe this was reported to MUFON. And this occurred in September of 1967 when 3 guys were camping in Crestone, and they saw this large fireball descending down, and at around 30,000 feet altitude, it broke into 3 objects, one of which came swooping down towards them and scared the daylights out of them because it was getting closer and closer, when it suddenly made a 90-degree turn, and clearly not a meteorite, and headed over across the San Luis Valley and over the mountains towards Colorado prison. And they thought at first they were the only witnesses until they found a newspaper article the next day describing this amazing sighting, which was apparently viewed by the Colorado Highway Patrol. And these 3 lights were hovering over the Colorado prison on the east side of the Crestone Mountains. And these police officers chased these objects for more than 2 hours. The prison guards actually were fearing a prison break and called in off-duty guards. Colorado Highway Patrol notified Peterson Air Force Base, who were able to locate this object on their radar scopes. And they launched 2 F-106 interceptors who approached the objects and asked for permission to fire upon them, at which point 3 objects accelerated away at high speed. The F-106s tried to follow them, but could not keep up. So it's a pretty amazing case involving a lot of witnesses, and again, hovering over Colorado prison. It's very strange. Another case occurred in August of 1976, when a correctional officer at Colorado prison saw an oval-shaped disc. It was 100 feet in diameter, hovering over the nearby mountains. It was about 200 yards away from him, close enough where he could hear a low-pitched humming sound. It was moving very slowly at about 20 miles per hour, and he marked it down in the log and reported it to the local police department. And not only affected him, emotionally, he was actually physically affected by it. He had some physiological reactions. He was very disoriented by the sighting and had very poor sleeping for the next 2 weeks following the sighting. So apparently he did have some physiological reactions from this object. And the most recent case I found over this prison occurred on January 10th, 1998. And again, this involved a correctional officer and some of the inmates, actually. The correctional officer was taking a crew of inmates back to the tool shop to return all the tools. And one of the prison inmates looked up and saw, quote, a very large sphere, chrome in color, with 3 brown spots on the side. It was pretty high up there, so many thousands of feet high, but appeared to be huge. They estimate that it was probably about the size of 10 full-size airliners. And as the correctional officer says, and I quote, the inmate and I just looked at each other and said, what in the hell is that? To this day, I have no idea what it was. Yeah, I love this case because I think it shows UFO's tendency to hover over powerful installations. And I can only imagine what they thought of, this prison and what its purpose was. But it's definitely a thing. UFOs are hovering over prisons all across the United States and the world.